Trump is an amazing Teflon politician that has been able to ride out so many scandals and events that would have brought a lesser politician down. It's amazing he's how indefatigable he is, and so I don't know if it'll bring him down, but it's causing him an enormous amount of trouble in his backyard.
Donald Trump, Max Hastings has just been talking about him. He's coming our way. He's arriving in Scotland tomorrow, where he's going to meet Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and indeed the First Minister of Scotland, John Swinney, as well. The US President, you might think, could well be looking forward to something of a break from domestic concerns, where the furore over the Epstein files shows no sign whatever of disappearing. David Charter is assistant editor for the US at the Times, and he's with us now. David Charter, first of all, actually, just to go back to Max Hastings, he was telling us yesterday that he thinks, in a way, we've got so used to the bizarre behaviour of Donald Trump and his very low standards that we've just given up challenging it, really, and we just go with the flow, however much effluent there is in the flow. What do you say about that?
Well, I think there's a lot in that because I think he's moved the Overton window towards this, what you might call this uncivil level of debate that he's introduced into the public arena. And certainly it seems to me, living over here, that the nature of the debate, this may be linked, of course, to people's tendency on social media to be a lot more aggressive and rude, but that's the way that political debate has moved over here, and Trump leans into it and uses it because it doesn't do him any harm. In fact, it's made him a multi-billionaire and president of the United States for the second time. So it seems to be working for him.
Yeah.
So he'll keep on doing it.
So to the Epstein files then. We know this man, reprehensible individual, died in 2019. Donald Trump, we are told, was informed in May by his Attorney General Pam Bondi that he was among many named in the Epstein files. But today, or yesterday, late yesterday, the White House comms director said it's nothing more than a continuation of the fake news stories concocted by the Democrats and the liberal media. So where do we go from here then? The Wall Street Journal is sticking by its story and the White House says it's fake news. What do you say?
Well, the story won't go away, and it looks like we will just get a lot more of this over the summer because despite the efforts of leading Republicans in the House of Representatives to go into recess and stop efforts to subpoena witnesses to talk about Epstein and to try and force the White House to publish whatever remains of Epstein files or Epstein documents, whatever they've got. Some Republicans joined up with some Democrats last night, as the House leaders were trying to put it into recess, and they've agreed to call testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell on August the 11th. I don't know how this is going to happen, but in the middle of the summer recess on the face of it. But also various other moves. The Democrats are trying to subpoena the book that was allegedly signed by Trump and others for Epstein's 50th birthday, which contains some lewd comments, apparently. And the Oversight Committee of the House has passed a subpoena motion to force the White House to publish what it's got left with all the victims' names redacted of the Epstein files. And the Republicans who went along with this, just for good measure, have issued a subpoenas for testimony from Bill Clinton thrown in. So there's so much going on this. It is the story that won't die, despite Trump's efforts to throw out an enormous amount of chaff and other issues to try and distract attention away from it. It's causing a major problem. So I do think a trip to Scotland will be most welcome for the Trumps at the weekend, just to sort of put some distance between this story that has been dogging them for over a fortnight now.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see whether it does die down. It probably won't, just because he's left the country. I mean, can you begin to explain why so many in the MAGA movement had put their faith in Donald Trump to draw the line under and bring to the light the terrible activities of Jeffrey Epstein, when they must have known there was a wealth of evidence pointing to the fact that there was a genuine friendship between the two men and they had, quotes, partied together?
I can actually, because a lot of the wellspring of this comes from the QAnon movement, which is surprisingly popular and enduring among the Trump voter base, which is really quite susceptible to conspiracy theories. And one of the pillars of this theory is, on the one hand, they believe that Trump is the knight in shining armor who will vanquish the elite in Washington and lead them into a new golden age. I mean, Trump has leaned into this idea of a golden age, but the other pillar that it's built on is that Washington is a hotbed of paedophile activity covered up by the country's wealthy elites. So what we've got here in the Epstein case is the suggestion that Epstein's clients and friends were fraternizing and more with underage girls. Now this touches on a real core belief that is unshakable among the QAnon faithful and therefore some of the Trump faithful, which is that the swamp, which is Washington, is built upon a project that to cover up this rampant paedophilia. I should say that there's no evidence of this
No.
at all, but the fact that Trump was believed to be the guy who would come and expose all this and arrest all the paedophiles, but has now failed to publish all the information that the base thought, or that at least the QAnon believing base thought he was going to publish, has caused a lot of consternation and confusion. And do you remember the QAnon shaman, the guy with the bullhorns,
yes.
who was marauding through Congress when it was raided by Trump supporters on January the 6th, 20? Well, he's been posting this week of his dismay at Trump and saying that, alleging that Trump is a fraud, and that to me is just a sign that that some of the conspiracy believing base are losing patience with Trump, and I think that's he may be the canary in the mine, the QAnon shaman, just showing us that this is why it's a big problem for Trump.
Right. So many people seem so certain it won't bring him down, but you don't sound 100% certain. So it's certainly something we will.
Well, I'm not sure it'll bring him down. But I mean, Trump is an amazing Teflon politician that has been able to ride out so many scandals and events that would have brought a lesser politician down. It's amazing how indefatigable he is. And so I don't know if it'll bring him down, but it's causing him an enormous amount of trouble in his backyard.
But is there a simple fact, David, that actually sex with underage girls would be a line?
Yeah, it would be for a lot of even for the true believers, it would be a shattering blow if any such thing was to emerge. And I must say there's no evidence of it, and just because Trump is allegedly been mentioned in the Epstein files, we've got no idea in what context. It might just be his phone number. The problem is, as so often with these political scandals, is the cover-up is causing perhaps even more damage than the initial spark of the scandal.
Well, he's coming to Scotland this weekend, visiting two golf courses, and he owns them both. What is the point of the visit? Is it purely just to check on his properties?
No, it's a private visit that he's been looking forward to for a long time, because the Aberdeenshire course has a new 18-hole course that's been built alongside the old one, that's being named after his mother, Mary MacLeod. It's one of the jewels in the crown of Trump's golf club empire, which is almost 20 major club, courses around the world. And it's the grand opening ceremony for, as far as I understand it, for the Mary McLeod course that he wanted to come to with his son Eric, who runs the golf courses. And so he's taken the opportunity to go there and also to pop over to the west coast of Scotland, to Ayrshire, to Turnberry, which he bought in 2014, and visit there as well. We think also trying to highlight his long-standing demand for the British Open to return to Turnberry at some point. It does. The next few years are already planned in for different courses, but he's very keen to keep the pressure on for that.
Well, it's not all golf. He has sent his special envoy to the Middle East to Rome. This is today, and it's for talks with Israeli and Qatari officials on a potential ceasefire in Gaza. So what do we know about this? I mean, how likely is it that any progress is going to be made?
Yeah, actually, his plane was tracked landing in Sardinia this morning. So we slightly misinformed on the exact location, but he's in Italy. This is Steve Witkoff, the property developer who's Trump's Middle East envoy. And the fact that he was visiting did raise hopes that the talks that have been going on for a couple of weeks now between Israeli officials and proxies for Hamas in Qatar, that they were close to getting what we think is a 60-day ceasefire and the release of some more hostages and crucially, of course, food and aid into Gaza, where there's this terrible famine crisis. However, this morning, Israel has shown signs of rejecting Hamas's counter proposal to the original Israeli ceasefire proposal. This is where it gets a bit in the weeds, but the upshot is that there is a Gordian knot that Steve Witkoff is going to try and break, but it was looking less likely this morning, unfortunately.
David, thank you very much indeed. That is David Charter. So Donald Trump heading to Scotland to have a look at his golf courses, and there will be coverage on Times Radio across the weekend.